Lesson 1-4, Order of Operations. The main idea for this lesson is to be able to evaluate expressions using the order of operations. We have 2 new vocabulary words for this lesson, and so by the end of this lesson you need to have these 2 words defined in your vocabulary chart: numerical expression and order of operation. By the end of this lesson, you're going to know the order of operations and you're going to be able to evaluate a problem applying these order of operations. The order of operations is basically a set of rules that make sure that we evaluate expressions or numerical expressions, which is just a combination of numbers and operations. It makes sure that we evaluate those numerical expressions in the same way every single time. So it's just basically a set of rules for mathematicians. The first thing that we always do is we evaluate the expressions inside the grouping symbols. So in other words, grouping symbols can either be parentheses or they can be brackets. So you're going to do all the work inside the parentheses or brackets first. The next thing, once all the grouping symbols are gone, then you're going to do the powers, so things that have an exponent, so like x to the second power. You take care of that. Then once all those first 2 things are done, then you're going to do any multiplication or division. And the really important thing is here that you're going to move from the left to the right. At this point, you should only be left with addition or subtraction. And again, you're going to move from the left to the right. Sometimes people remember this with the saying PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S, and it stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. So in other words, you're going to do your parentheses first, then the exponents, then any multiplication and division from left to right, and then last, any addition or subtraction from left to right. That's the order of operations. That's the order that we always will go in when we're solving numerical expressions. So let's try a few examples. Here's our first one. X plus parenthesis 12 minus 3. So the order of operations says that we're going to do our parentheses first. So that means 12 minus 3. 12 minus 3 is 9. And then I'm going to bring down anything else that I haven't done, and I'm going to write it down. So that means we haven't done the plus and we haven't done the 5. So I'm just going to write those things down. Now I'm going to go through and ask myself, okay, are there any parentheses? No, there aren't any parentheses here. Are there any exponents? No, I don't see any exponents. Do I see any multiplication or division? Nope, there's no multiplication or division. So that means we're at the final step. We're adding and subtracting. And we're going to move from the left to the right. So I see 5 plus 9. 5 plus 9 is 14. There. And I justified each one of my steps. I justified this first step because we're going to do parentheses first. And I justified my second step because we're going to do addition. And there we've applied the order of operations. If we don't have an order of operations, let's just say, I'm going to do this same example again over here. 5 plus parenthesis 12 minus 3. If you just decided to do this in any order that you wanted to, let's say you wanted to go 5 plus 12 first. Well, 5 plus 12 is 17. And then I'm going to bring down the minus 3. And 17 minus 3 is 14. We happen to get the same answer that time, but it doesn't always work. And we'll come back and do this later on. But this is why we have an order of operations, to make sure that we get the same answers every single time. Let's take a look at this next one. We have 8 minus 3 times 2 plus 7. First thing I'm going to ask myself are there any parentheses? No, I don't see any parentheses here. Are there any exponents? No, I don't see any exponents here. So that means we're on to the multiplication and division. So that means we're going to do all the multiplication and division from the left to the right. Well, this first thing I have is 8 minus 3. That's not multiplication or division. Next I have is 3 times 2. That's multiplication. 3 times 2 is 6. And now I'm going to bring down everything else that I haven't used yet. So that means the 8 minus and the plus 7. Now I'm going to go back. Parentheses? No. Exponents? No. Multiplication or division? No. Now we're just left with the addition and subtraction. And remember, we do addition and subtraction from the left to the right. So that means we're going to go 8 minus 6 first. 8 minus 6 is 2 plus 7, because that's the part we haven't used yet. 2 plus 7, that's the only thing we have left, is 9. And I've justified each one of my steps by making sure that I applied the order of operations. Notice that I'm doing my work going down. Notice that I don't have any equal signs, and my answer kind of ends up looking like a triangle. Let me try to show you again over here if we didn't have the order of operations. 8 minus 3 times 2 plus 7. If we didn't have the order of operations, I would just say, okay, 8 minus 3 is 5 times 2 plus 7. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 7. 10 times 7, 10 plus 7, 17. Did we get the same answers here? No, we didn't. Over here, I didn't apply the order of operations. This is why mathematicians had to have the set of rules, the order of operations, to make sure that everyone did things in the same order so that we will all get the same answer every time. So over here on the right side, I didn't apply the order of operations. Over here on the left side, I did. This is the proper way to do it over here on the left side. Let's take a look at a couple more examples. Here we have 5 times 3 to the second power minus 7. First thing I'm going to ask myself are there any parentheses? Nope, there aren't any parentheses. Are there any exponents? There are right here, 3 to the second power. That means 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So I'm going to write down 9. And I'm going to bring down everything else that I haven't used so far. So that means 5 times 9 minus 7. I'm going to go back to the beginning of the order of operations. Parentheses? No. Exponents? No. Multiplication or division? Yes, right here. I'm going to start on the left and go to the right. So 5 times 9 is 45. And I'm going to bring down the minus 7 because I haven't used that part yet. Now I'm going to go back to the beginning. Parentheses? No. Exponents? No. Multiplication or division? No. But I do have subtraction, and that's the last part of the order of operations. So 45 minus 7 is 38. Here's another example. 14 plus 3, parentheses, 7 minus 2. So we're going to start at the beginning of the order of operations. Are there any parentheses? Yes, there are. 7 minus 2 is 5. And then I'm going to bring down everything else that we haven't used yet. Now I'm going to go back to the beginning of order of operations. Are there any parentheses? Yes, there are some parentheses right here, but just so you know, that's actually multiplication in the disguise of parentheses. That actually means 3 times 5. Because multiplication can be written a few different ways. It can be written like this, 3 times 5. It can be written like this, 3x 5. We try not to use that anymore because later on in some of the future lessons we'll learn that that x right there is going to be a variable. So we actually don't want to write multiplication that way anymore. And another way that we can write multiplication is to use a parenthesis. But that's not the kind of parenthesis that the order of operations is talking about. They're talking about parentheses like this, with numbers inside of it with operations. So here, even though I have a set of parentheses, it's not actually the kind of parentheses that the order of operations is talking about. So after parentheses comes exponents. Are there any exponents? No. Is there any multiplication or division? Yes, right here. This is actually multiplication, even though it kind of looks like parentheses. 3 times 5 is 15. And then I'm going to bring down anything else that I haven't used yet. That means I have the 14 plus 15. Now I'm going to go back to the beginning of the order of operations. Are there any parentheses? No. Are there any exponents? No. Is there any multiplication or division? No. Is there any addition or subtraction? Yes, I have 14 plus 15, and that equals 19. There, I've justified each one of my steps. I've shown all my work. My work is shown going down. I don't have any equal signs. I just wrote my work going down underneath itself. Looks pretty good. Here we're going to try a word problem. It says, Julian orders crepe paper, balloons, and favors for a school dance. What's the total cost? So here's a little table showing everything that Julian ordered. Looks like they ordered 3 rolls of crepe paper, and the crepe paper cost $2 a roll. They ordered 2 boxes of favors, and it cost $7 a box. And they ordered 4 boxes of balloons, and the balloons cost $5 a box. So we need to figure out what was the total cost. So maybe we could write a little equation to help us figure this out. Let's see. We have crepe paper, and we have 3 of those, right? And we have to take that the number of crepe paper rolls that we bought and multiply it by how much it costs. So that means we have 3 rolls at $2. And then I want to add to that the 2 boxes of favors, and the boxes of favors cost $7 each, so that's 2 times 7. And once I get that answer, I want to add that to the balloons, and that's 4 boxes of balloons at $5 a box. So 4 times 5. And now I'm going to apply the order of operations in order to figure this out. Well, I'm going to ask myself, are there any parentheses? Yes, there's lots of them. There's actually 3 sets of them, and I'm going to start from the left and go to the right. So here, on my leftmost set, 3 times 2 is 6. Plus, here's another set of parentheses, 2 times 7 is 14. Plus, 4 times 5 is 20. Now I'm going to do the order of operations again. Parentheses? No. Exponents? No. Multiplication or division? No. All we have left is addition. 6 plus 14 is 20, because I'm starting on the left and going to the right, plus this 20 here, I'm going to bring it down. 20 plus 20 is 40. So that means Julian spent in all $40. There we have the order of operations. So it's really important to keep it memorized that the first rule is parentheses, then we have exponents, then we have multiplication and division from left to right, and then we have addition and subtraction from left to right. So it's important as you solve these problems that you ask yourself at each step, are there any parentheses? Are there any exponents? Is there any multiplication or division? Is there any addition and subtraction? Do one step at a time and bring everything else down, and you should be successful.